The stranger at Route 89. It was a dusty Wednesday evening on Route 89. The kind of road where nothing usually happens, just long stretches of cracked asphalt and the hum of forgotten time. But that day, something was about to happen. Something no one in that small desert town would ever forget. A black Mustang pulled into a quiet gas station. It looked expensive, but beaten. Its paint had deep scratches, and its front bumper barely hung on. The kind of damage that doesn't come from a simple accident. The engine shut off, and the door creaked open. An old man inside the shop leaned on the counter, chewing slowly on sunflower seeds. He squinted out the window. A man in a hoodie stepped out of the Mustang. He walked slowly, his left leg dragging. Slightly like he was hurt. He didn't look up. He just went straight to the bathroom door, pushed it open, and disappeared inside. No one knew yet. Not the cashier. Not the man filling gas next to him. Not even the gang of bikers roaring down the road 5 minutes later. No one knew that the man in the hoodie was Keanu Reeves. Meanwhile, down the road, a gang of 5 bikers split the silence with their engines. They weren't there for fun. They weren't passing through. They were looking for someone. Their leader. Tank had a shaved head and a scar that ran across his nose. He wore a leather vest with a skull patch stitched into the back, and a chain hanging from his belt like a warning. They rode in like wolves, circling the gas station before cutting their engines one by one. "Yo," Tank called out to the old man inside. "That your Mustang?" The old man shook his head. "Nah, guy just walked in." "He alone?" Tank's voice dropped. "Low and dangerous." "Seems like it." The bikers grinned. One of them, a younger guy with tattoos running up his neck, walked over to the Mustang and kicked the tire hard. The car rocked slightly. Another pulled out a key and ran it down the side of the car with a long, deliberate scratch. Metal screamed beneath it. They didn't know what they were doing. They didn't know who the owner was. Inside the bathroom, Keanu splashed water on his face. His hands trembled slightly, not from fear, but from everything he had carried over the last few days. He had come to this quiet place to disappear, even if only for a few hours. But outside, the noise of shouting and metal told him that peace had other plans. A loud bang echoed through the bathroom walls. He stepped out slowly. When he saw what was happening, he paused. His car was surrounded. One of the bikers had broken the mirror clean off. Another had lit a cigarette and flicked the ash directly onto the hood. Keanu didn't say anything. He just stood there, hood up, hands in his pocket. One of the bikers turned to him. "This your car, Grandpa?" Keanu said nothing. "Hey, I'm talking to you." The guy stepped closer, chest puffed. Keanu single quotes. S voice was calm, almost too calm. "Why are you doing this?" The question caught them off guard. "You serious?" Tank stepped in now. "You're driven a ride like this through our town. You think you can just show up, looking all rich and quiet?" Keanu lowered his hood, revealing his face. The bikers blinked. Silence. For a second. No one moved. The youngest biker whispered, "Yo. Is that who I think it is?" Keanu turned his eyes toward him. "Who do you think I am?" Before anyone could answer, a massive black truck roared into the lot. It screeched to a halt beside the Mustang. The doors flew open. Out stepped a man who needed no introduction. The Rock. Dwayne Johnson. He didn't smile. Didn't blink. He looked straight at the bikers, then at the Mustang, then at Keanu. "These guys bothering you, brother?" The air thickened with tension. Even the cicadas went quiet. The bikers looked at each other. Keanu said softly, "We're just leaving." But Tank wasn't ready to back down. "Not yet. Hold up. What's going on here? Y'all pulling some Hollywood prank?" The Rock's jaw clenched. He took a step forward. "Does this look like a prank to you? You both famous or something?" Tank spat on the ground. Keanu finally stepped closer. "You didn't have to touch the car. You didn't have to prove anything. Not to us, not to anyone. One of the bikers mumbled, I told you that was Keanu Reeves. And now that's the Rock too, but Tank wasn't letting go of his pride. So what? What if I did mess with your car? You gonna cry about it? Before anyone could blink, the Rock moved in one swift motion. He had Tank's arm twisted behind his back and his face against the hood of the Mustang. You got 5 seconds to apologize. The Rock growled. Tank grunted in pain. All right, I'm sorry. Keanu spoke again, his voice quieter than ever. Apologize to the old man in the shop too. He didn't ask for any of this. The other bikers dropped their heads. One by one, they muttered apologies, backing away toward their bikes. The young one, the one who had recognized Keanu first, looked like he wanted to say something but stayed silent. The Rock let Tank go. The leader stumbled back, rubbing his shoulder. He didn't say another word, just climbed onto his bike and took off. The others followed. Dust filled the air as they disappeared into the desert. The gas station was quiet again. The old man inside stepped out, watching them leave. I don't know what just happened. But thank you. Keanu nodded. Sorry about the noise. The Rock clapped a hand on Keanu's shoulder. You all right? Keanu smiled slightly. Been a long day. What are you doing out here? Anyway, Keanu looked out at the horizon, looking for someone. The Rock raised an eyebrow. Who? Keanu hesitated. My brother. The Rock was silent for a beat. Then he said, You never told me you had a brother. Keanu replied, I didn't, not until last week. And just like that, the story shifted. Because this wasn't just about a car, or a fight, or respect. This was about something deeper, something that started long before the gas station. Long before the bikers. Something hidden in the silence of a letter Keanu had found tucked in a drawer. A letter signed with one name. Lucas Reeves. Asterisk the letter and the leave. Next morning, the wind rolled softly over the desert plains. The gas station behind them had gone quiet. Keanu and the Rock stood next to the Mustang, watching the sun slowly rise from the far-off hills. But Keanu's mind wasn't on the sunrise. It was somewhere else entirely. The letter. The one he found in his late father's old chest, tucked under a stack of faded photos and receipts from decades ago. He still remembered the way the paper felt in his hands, thin, brittle, like it had been hiding from the world too long. Keanu took it out again and handed it to the Rock. Read it. The Rock scanned it slowly. Dear Keanu, I don't know if you'll ever find this. I don't even know if I should be writing. I'm your brother. My name is Lucas. Mom kept me hidden because of what Dad did. I ended up in foster care, got into some bad things, tried to clean up. But if you're reading this, it means I need you. I'm in trouble. Come to Route 89. There's a place called Red Mesa Motel. I'll wait as long as I can. Lucas. The Rock looked up. This real? Keanu nodded slowly. I checked. There's a birth certificate. He's real. And if this letter is real too, then he was here. Or maybe still is. The Rock leaned on the hood. When was this written? No date, Keanu said. But it feels recent. Maybe a couple weeks old. They drove in silence for miles, the Mustang humming softly beneath them. Red Mesa Motel wasn't on any fancy maps. It was the kind of place you only found if you were already lost. They arrived around noon. The motel stood crooked and sunburned. Its sign hung sideways, missing the R and the L. A dog barked somewhere in the distance, but the lot was empty. A thin woman sat at the front desk, her eyes tired but kind. Keanu approached carefully. Excuse me. I'm looking for someone. Name's Lucas Reeves. Her eyes blinked with recognition, then softened. You Keanu? He nodded. She looked down at her desk. He was here, checked out 3 days ago, left in a hurry. Said he was being followed. Keanu leaned in. Did he leave anything? Anything at all? She hesitated, then pulled a folded napkin from a drawer. He scribbled this and gave it to me. Told me if a man with eyes like rain came asking, to hand it over. The Rock chuckled. Eyes like rain? That's definitely you. Keanu unfolded the napkin. Keanu, I messed up. The bikers took something I shouldn't have had. They're after me. Don't trust anyone. Go to the canyon ruins. You'll find answers there. I'm sorry. Lucas Rock frowned. Bikers? Keanu nodded. The same ones from yesterday. This isn't random. They weren't just messing with my car. They were looking for something. Or someone, The Rock said. Voice low. Keanu single quotes, Sart sank. They thought I was Lucas. They left the motel quickly, heading for the canyon ruins. It was a jagged cut through the desert, once sacred land, now abandoned. But what they didn't know, what Lucas hadn't written, was that the ruins weren't empty. Someone was waiting. Meanwhile, deep in the canyon, KeanuReeves sat hidden behind a crumbled wall. His hands were bruised. His lip was split. He held a small leather pouch tightly in his lap, glancing over his shoulder every few minutes. He wasn't alone. A woman sat nearby, watching him carefully. Her name was Eva. She had helped him escape 2 nights ago when the bikers cornered him at a diner near Red Mesa. You sure your brother's coming? She asked. Lucas nodded. He will. He has to. What's in the pouch? She asked. Lucas hesitated. Evidence. About a deal that went wrong. And not just any deal. The bikers aren't just bikers. They're part of something bigger. They work for someone who doesn't like loose ends. Eva raised an eyebrow. And you're the loose end? Lucas nodded. Back on the road, the Mustang climbed a hill overlooking the canyon. Keanu pulled over, stepping out. He stared down into the rocky valley below. You see that? The Rock pointed to a flicker of movement between 2 stone columns. Keanu nodded. Someone's down there. They started down the narrow trail, unaware that across the ridge, 2 pairs of binoculars were locked on them. Tank slammed his fist into the dashboard of his truck. He had followed them from the gas station, nursing the pain in his shoulder and a bruised ego. Beside him sat Vince, the youngest biker. You sure that's them? Tank growled. Vince nodded. It's the Mustang. And the Rock's with him. They're going to Lucas, Tank spat. He must have told them. Tank reached into the glove box and pulled out a black box. Inside was a tiny device with a flashing red light. We don't need to stop them, he said. We just need to follow the signal. At the canyon base, Keanu called out, his voice echoing through the stones. Lucas. A faint voice called back. Keanu? They ran toward the sound. Lucas stepped out from behind the stone wall. He looked thin, tired, but alive. Keanu froze. It was like looking in a mirror, only cracked, worn by life. The 2 brothers stood there, staring. No words, just tears in their eyes. Keanu spoke first. I thought you were a ghost. Lucas shook his head. I thought you'd never come. They embraced. Years of silence melted in that moment. All the pain, all the confusion. Gone, just for a second, but that second ended fast. A gunshot cracked through the canyon. The Rock pushed Keanu down just in time. Lucas shouted. They found us. From the cliffs above, Tank and his gang opened fire. Dust flew. Bullets ricocheted off rocks. The Rock dragged Lucas and Keanu behind a thick boulder. Eva ducked beside them, wide-eyed. We need a plan, The Rock said. Lucas pulled the leather pouch from his jacket. They want this. I think we give it to them. Keanu frowned. You risked your life for it. Lucas opened it slowly. Inside were a series of documents, a flash drive, and a torn badge. Keanu picked up the badge. Double quotes, this. This is a federal ID. Lucas nodded. I was working for someone, off the record. Tracking illegal deals with stolen tech. The bikers? They're the delivery crew for something big. And I found out too much. Keanu looked at the flash drive. What's on this? Lucas looked at him. Enough to shut them down forever. The Rock leaned forward. Then we fight, we don't run. Eva handed Keanu a walkie from her bag. I've got one more friend. He used to be a ranger. If he's nearby, he'll come. Keanu pressed the button. This is KeanuReeves. We need backup at Canyon Ruins, now. The voice on the other end replied quickly. Copy that. Heading your way. Gunfire slowed. The bikers thought they had the upper hand. But they didn't know Keanu had called for help. They didn't. No, the Rock was already planning their counterdot as Keanu looked across the canyon. His mind flashed back to something his mother once told him. Real strength isn't about fists, Keanu. It's about what you protect. He looked at Lucas. At the woman who risked her life to help him. And he knew this was the moment he had been called for. The storm wasn't over. It was just beginning. The trap inside the canyon's air in the canyon was tense. Every breath felt like it came with weight. Above them, on the dusty ridges, the sound of engines rumbled again. Tank wasn't giving up. He had more men now, more bikes. More firepower. Keanu crouched behind the boulder with his brother Lucas, Eva, and the Rock. The sun beat down hard, but the heat wasn't what made Keanu sweat. It was the silence between gunfire, the kind that meant someone was preparing for something worse. How many are up there? The Rock whispered. Eva peeked around the edge. Counted quickly. At least 6 more joined. That makes 11. Keanu frowned. And they're all here for what Lucas has? Lucas nodded. It's not just the flash drive, it's what it proves. He pulled out a torn blueprint from his coat and spread it on the ground. Lines and codes. Names and places. Keanu couldn't understand most of it, but he understood one word written in bold black ink. Shipment. They're moving something. Lucas said, stolen military tech. And this map? It shows their route, where it's going, who's paying. Eva added, and it connects some very powerful people. The kind who hide behind biker gangs and backroom deals. The Rock clenched his fists. So if we let them have this, they erase all the evidence. Yes, Lucas said, and us with it. Just then, a voice echoed through the canyon. Keanu. Reeves, it was Tank, loud and smug. And you, big guy Rock man whatever, we've got you surrounded. You've got something we want. Hand it over, and maybe we won't bury you here. Keanu stood slowly and stepped out from the Rock's cover. The others tried to stop him, but he raised a hand. What are you doing? Lucas asked. Ending this, Keanu replied. Keanu walked into the open. His hands empty, his posture calm. He looked up at Tank, who stood with 2 rifles slung over his shoulder and a smirk across his face. You want the drive? Keanu shouted, then come get it. But leave my brother out of this. Tank laughed. You think this is a movie, Hollywood boy? This is real. And real men bleed. Keanu didn't flinch. I've bled before. I'll do it again. But not for nothing. Tank's men started to move in, creeping down the canyon sides. But they were careless. Loud boots on gravel. Too confident. That's when the Rock made his move, from behind another outcrop. The Rock leapt out and tackled one of the bikers to the ground, disarming him in seconds. Eva fired warning shots from an old rifle she kept in her bag, forcing the bikers to duck. Chaos exploded across the canyon floor. Gunfire cracked through the air. Rocks shattered. Dust clouds rose like ghosts. Keanu dove behind a stone pillar, pulling Lucas with him. You said the ranger was on his way, Keanu said to Eva. He is, Eva shouted. I just hope he brought friends. They were outnumbered. Even with the Rock's strength and Eva's quick aim, they couldn't hold out forever. The bikers had the high ground. They had ammo. They had rage. Then, from the north slope, a voice rang out, drop your weapons. A dozen men in green uniforms stormed the ridge, U.S. Forest Rangers, armed and ready. The bikers froze. Caught off guard, a tall, gruff man walked in front of them. He had a badge, a radio, and eyes that didn't blink. "I'm Ranger Dale," he said. "And you boys picked the wrong canyon." Tank spun around. "You're bluffing." Dale raised his hand. More rangers appeared behind rocks, guns aimed. "Do I look like I bluff?" The bikers hesitated. The rock stepped out now, holding one of the rifles he had taken. "You better listen. We've got the proof. We've got the people. You keep pushing, you're going to prison, or worse." Tank screamed, desperate. "I don't care about prison. I care about what we started." And then he charged. But Keanu was ready. He didn't fight with fists or guns. He stepped right in Tank's path and threw the flash drive into the air. Tank stopped, confused, watching it fly. Keanu reached out and caught it again. "You want it?" he said quietly. "Then earn it without fear." Tank raised a knife, but before he could strike, Lucas tackled him from behind. They struggled in the dirt, fists flying, until Lucas, bleeding and shaking, finally pinned Tank down. "This was never about the drive," Lucas gasped. "It was about justice, and you lost." Rangers cuffed Tank and his men, one by one. The canyon slowly returned to silence, but it wasn't over, not yet. Hours later, after the dust had settled, the Rangers helped collect the evidence. Eva handed over the blueprint. Lucas gave them the pouch. "And the flash drive?" Keanu handed that to Ranger Dale. "Make sure it goes where it needs to," he said. Dale nodded. "We will." Lucas sat on a rock, exhausted. He looked at Keanu. "I'm sorry." Keanu sat beside him. "For what?" "For not finding you sooner. For the mess I brought." Keanu shook his head. "You brought truth. And you found your way home. That's what matters." The rock stood nearby, smiling slightly. "Not bad for two guys with matching blood." Eva walked over. "So what now?" Lucas looked at her, then at Keanu. "I go back," he said. "Face what I ran from. Clean up my life for real." Keanu nodded. "And I'll be there, every step." As night fell over the canyon, the stars blinked awake. They sat quietly, watching the sky. No more gunshots. No more running. Just brothers. Reunited. Because sometimes family isn't about how you start. It's about what you choose in the moments that test your soul. And that day, both Keanu and Lucas chose to stand, not as strangers. But as brothers. Asterisk. A name they feared. Next morning, the sun rose slow and red over the edge of the canyon. Everything looked quiet, peaceful, like nothing had ever happened here. But deep inside, Keanu knew the storm had just moved elsewhere. They had stopped the attack. Handed over the flash drive. Watched the bikers get arrested. But the real threat, the one behind the gang, behind the shipments, behind the letter Lucas had written, was still out there. His name hadn't been spoken yet, but everyone felt it. Even the Rangers seemed nervous once the documents were reviewed. At a Ranger outpost near the edge of the state border, Keanu, Lucas, The Rock, and Eva sat across from Ranger Dale and a federal agent who had flown in overnight. The agent wore a suit. Sharp, serious. Her name was Agent Soren. She placed the flash drive into her laptop and tapped through the files. Names, shipping routes, bank accounts, audio recordings. But one name was circled in red on the final document. Garrison Hall. Lucas leaned forward. "He's the one, the supplier, the money behind everything. Runs a fake charity, but it's a cover for illegal arms deals. Bikers like Tank, they're just tools." Agent Soren nodded. "We've had whispers about Holly for years. No one could ever pin him down. He's careful. Never touches anything directly. And now," she tapped the screen, "we have a trail." Keanu crossed his arms. "What happens now?" "We build a case," she said. "We use what Lucas gave us. And when we're ready, we take him down." Lucas looked uneasy. "He's going to know I talked." He already knows, Eva said quietly. The minute Tank got arrested, Halle would have made calls. The Rock stood. So we don't wait for him to come. We bring the storm first. Agent Soren glanced at him. We appreciate the help, Mr. Johnson, but this is federal business. The Rock stared back. And this is family, Keanu nodded. We're not stepping away now. That night, they moved to a safer location, a small cabin deep in the woods, guarded by rangers and watched from above by drones. But safety was only temporary. Around midnight, Lucas couldn't sleep. He stepped outside, sat on the porch, and looked up at the stars. Keanu joined him, holding 2 cups of coffee. You think he's watching us already? Lucas asked. Keanu handed him a cup. Probably. Men like that always watch, Lucas sighed. He owns more than just guns. He owns judges, cops, airports. And fear, Keanu said. But not anymore. Not from us. Lucas looked down. I almost didn't send that letter, you know. I thought maybe I'd ruined too much to ask for help. Keanu turned to him. But you did, and I came, and now we end this together. But not all endings come peacefully. The next morning, 2 rangers were found unconscious near a supply shed. Their radios crushed. Their weapons missing. Agent Soren locked down the cabin instantly. We're being watched, she said. Someone got in last night. Eva checked the security feeds. One was missing. Camera 7 overlooking the hill trail. That's when Lucas spoke. He's sending a message. Keanu stood beside him. And I think I know where it's leading. They drove out under federal escort to a remote town called Silver Bluff. On the surface, it looked like nothing, a mining town with empty streets and boarded-up windows. But Agent Soren knew better. Halle uses this place as a ghost front. Every truck that leaves here has something hidden. They split up. The Rock and Keanu moved to scout the warehouse. Lucas and Eva followed a narrow trail behind the hills. And Agent Soren stayed with the Rangers to manage the operation. At the warehouse, Keanu and the Rock saw rows of trucks, unmarked, cold metal doors sealed tight, but one door was cracked. Open. You thinking what I'm thinking? The Rock asked. Keanu nodded. We're not alone in there. They stepped inside carefully. Shadows moved on the far end. And then a voice echoed through the warehouse, smooth, calm, dangerous. KeanuReeves and the Rock. Imagine my luck. Halle stepped from the shadows, tall, silver hair, expensive jacket. No fear in his eyes. He was unarmed, or so it seemed. You've caused quite the mess, Halle said. A lot of people are very upset. Investors, officials. You've ruined something very delicate. Keanu kept his hands at his sides. You built a world on lies. Halle smiled. I built a world that works, and now you're here. Trying to burn it down for a runaway brother? The Rock stepped forward. You're done. We have everything, Halle shrugged. Do you? Because right now, all your evidence is with an agent 2 miles away, and your little cabin might not be standing much longer. Keanu froze. What did you do? Halle raised his hand. A click from his wristwatch. A silent detonation echoed in the distance. Meanwhile, back at the cabin, flames erupted from beneath the generator shed. One of the drones crashed from the sky. Agent Soren shouted for cover. Rangers scrambled to drones. Protect files and data. Lucas and Eva, halfway up the hill, saw the smoke rising. Lucas single quotes. S heart sank. He knew. Eva grabbed his hand. We have to get back now. Inside the warehouse, Keanu lunged. Halle ducked. But the Rock came from behind, grabbing Halle by the collar and slamming him into the wall. You've lost. Keanu hissed. Halle laughed through bloody lips. Have I? Then tell me. Where's your brother now? Keanu paused. And in that pause, Halle escaped. A flashbang hit the floor. Light. Smoke. Confusion. When the air cleared, Halle was gone. Only his voice remained. Next time, Keanu... Bring more than kindness. Outside, Lucas and Eva returned to chaos. The cabin had burned, but the Rangers saved the files. Agent Soren met them halfway. He was ready for us, and now he's running. Keanu and the Rock arrived minutes later, furious and breathless. He has a head start, Keanu said. But not for long. Lucas looked at the ground. He's not done. He'll come after me again. Keanu placed a hand on his shoulder. And when he does... we'll be waiting. As the sun set again, this time over Silver Bluff, the team regrouped. They had the evidence. They had the names. But they also had a new mission. It wasn't just about justice anymore. It was about making sure men like Holly never rise again. And for that, Keanu knew they had to go deeper than they ever had before. Into a world where power hides in plain sight. Where enemies wear suits. And kindness must fight with fire. Kindness turns into fire. It was dark again. But this time the darkness wasn't just outside. It was inside them too. Keanu stared through the window of the temporary safe house, an old ranger watchtower on the edge of a dead forest, and thought about everything they had lost. Holly was gone. The cabin was destroyed. And Lucas was once again being hunted. But something had changed. This time, Keanu wasn't just reacting. He was preparing. The plan started simple. Agent Soren called in 2 more teams. Not from the government, but from old contacts. People who had seen men like Holly rise and fall. People who didn't wear badges but still fought for justice. We can't go through the system, she told them. He owns too many people. Lucas nodded. Then we go around it, Keanu agreed. We expose him, all of him, not just in court, in the world. They moved at night. Each step careful, calculated. Keanu and Eva tracked the supply trucks. The Rock and Lucas followed digital money trails with a tech expert named Nova, a quiet woman with a fast brain and fingers that danced across her keyboard like sparks. Hale's next drop is in 3 days. Nova said, at a private airfield near the border. He's flying out weapons under fake medical cargo. Keanu narrowed his eyes. Then we need to be there first. They spent the next 48 hours preparing. Nova hacked into the flight logs. Soren traced the fake IDs. Lucas and Eva mapped every escape route from the airfield. And Keanu, he trained not with guns, but with his mind. He played every conversation with Holly in his head, looking for cracks, for signs of fear, for anything they could use. Then something surprising happened. Lucas pulled Keanu aside and handed him a letter. I wrote this in case something happens, he said quietly. But it's not just for you, it's for everyone I hurt. Keanu. Read the first line and close the envelope. Don't talk like that, he said. You're coming back. Lucas smiled. Just in case. You always came for me. I want to come back for you too. The day of the mission arrived. The airfield. Set hidden behind a chain of mountains, disguised as a medical relief base. But it wasn't medicine that filled those crates. Keanu, Lucas, Eva, The Rock, Nova, and Agent Soren waited in place, dressed like workers. Each had a role. Soren controlled the tower. Nova hacked the surveillance. Keanu and Lucas stood by the hangar, hidden behind cargo pallets. He'll be here, Keanu said. Lucas nodded. I can feel it. And then, Hale's convoy arrived. Black cars. Private guards. A man with cold eyes stepped out of the middle vehicle. Holly. He was calm. Smiling even. He walked toward the plane with his hands in his pockets, surrounded by men with rifles. Get ready, Nova said in their earpieces. All cameras looping. We're dark. Keanu stepped out first. You're not flying out of here. Hall had turned. His eyes locked with Keanu's. He grinned. I was wondering when you'd show up again. It's brave or stupid. I've been called both, Keanu said. But this time, I'm not alone. At that exact second, Nova shut down the generator, cutting the power. The floodlights died. Confusion spread. The Rock stepped out from the shadows and tackled one of the guards. Lucas grabbed another and knocked him down. Ava ran for the crates, pulling out the hidden weapons. It was chaos. But controlled. Keanu charged Hyle. They fought in the darkness, no fancy moves, no rehearsed action, just fists and fire. Hale wasn't weak. He had trained for this too. But Keanu wasn't fighting for himself. He was fighting for Lucas. For all the people Hale had crushed. And that gave him something. Hale didn't have heart. Hale pulled a knife from his boot. Swung wildly. He caught Keanu's shoulder, cutting through his shirt. But Keanu didn't stop. He grabbed Hale's wrist, twisted hard, and slammed him to the ground. "It's over," Keanu said, panting. Hale spit blood. "You think this stops anything? I have backups. Men like me. We don't disappear." Keanu stood tall. "No, but today." "You do." The Rangers moved in. So did federal agents Nova had secretly alerted. Hale's men were outnumbered, captured. His plane seized. And Hall cuffed. For the first time, hours later, as the sun began to rise, Keanu and Lucas sat on the back of an ambulance, bandaged and bruised. "We did it," Lucas whispered. Keanu nodded. "Yeah, we did." Nova handed them a tablet. "The files are public now, everything Hale did. It's everywhere, news, media, international channels. His name is finished." Ava stood nearby. "And what about you, Lucas? What's next?" He looked down, then at Keanu. "I turned myself in, not to hide, but to finish what I started. I've got things to make right." Keanu put a hand on his shoulder. "I'll be there. Every day." Later, as Lucas was escorted away peacefully, with no handcuffs, just dignity, Keanu watched the car drive off. He felt something strange in his chest. Not pain. Not regret. But closure. And something stronger. Hope. A week passed. The Rock returned to his movie set. Eva joined an investigation unit. Nova went underground. Her job done. Keanu stayed in the desert a little longer. He visited the same gas station where it all started. The old man was still there. "You fixed the Mustang yet?" the old man asked. Keanu smiled. "Not yet." "You should keep it that way," the man said. "Let the scars stay." Keanu looked out at the road. Double quotes. "Yeah," he whispered. "Some scars need to stay." In a world where men like Hale hide behind fake smiles and clean suits, it takes more than fists to fight. It takes truth. It takes heart. And sometimes it takes two brothers who lost everything to find what really matters. The road back home. 3 months later, the desert was quiet again. No smoke, no sirens, no danger hiding in the cliffs. KeanuReeves drove the black Mustang slowly down Route 89. The car still wore its scars, dents, faded scratches, a cracked mirror, but Keanu never fixed them. Not because he couldn't, but because he chose not to forget. Every mark on the car told a part of the story. And that story wasn't over. Not yet. He turned off the main road and stopped at a small diner near the border. The same one Lucas once escaped through. Inside, things hadn't changed. Red booths, old music, dusty fans spinning on the ceiling. But the waitress smiled when she saw him. "You're him," she whispered. "The guy from the canyon." Keanu nodded gently. "Just passing through." He ordered coffee and sat by the window. He was waiting for someone. Lucas Reeves stepped off a bus a few minutes later. He looked different now, clean, focused, a small bag over his shoulder, a folder in his hand. He walked into the diner, and for the first time in a long time, he smiled. Keanu stood. They hugged. Not as strangers meeting after years, but as brothers, walking through something only they could understand. Lucas sat across from him. "Got released this morning. Reduced sentence. Time served, cooperation bonus." "You deserve it," Keanu said. "You earned it," Lucas opened the folder. Inside were forms, documents, plans. They offered me a spot, Lucas said. Not as an agent, but as an analyst, quiet work. Tracking fraud, patterns, signals. Nothing flashy, but important. Keanu nodded slowly. That's good. Lucas looked down. And I want to take it. But first, I need to do one more thing. They drove out to the edge of the Red Mesa cliffs. The same place Lucas once hid. The wind brushed against them like a whisper. Lucas stepped to the edge and dropped something over the side, a leather pouch. The last piece of it. He said, I kept a copy of the files, just in case. But this? The original? It needs to be gone. Keanu asked softly. Why? Because I want to live, Lucas said. Not just survive, not just hide. I want to build. They drove for hours. After that, past dry rivers and small towns. They didn't talk much. They didn't need to. It wasn't silence between them anymore. It was peace. They stopped near the old Ranger watchtower. Ranger Dale was waiting for them. He greeted Lucas with a quiet nod. Heard the good news. Proud of you. Lucas smiled. Thank you. Dale handed Keanu a small envelope. This came through the station last week. No return address. But it's meant for you. Keanu opened it. One page, handwritten. You did what most men wouldn't. You fought with kindness, not rage. You protected, not punished. And because of you, the darkness lost one more time. Unknown, there was no signature. No clue who sent it. But Keanu folded it and placed it in his jacket pocket. Close to his heart. As the sun dropped into the horizon, they walked side by side to a small campfire Dale had set up. The Rock arrived not long after, carrying bags of food and a guitar. You didn't think I'd miss this, did you? He laughed. They all sat around the fire, under the stars. No cameras. No danger, no script. Just people who had gone through fire and came out stronger. Keanu looked at Lucas. You know, he said, none of this should have happened. A letter, a gang, a canyon. It shouldn't have gone this way. Lucas nodded. And yet, here we are. Keanu smiled. Maybe life's not about what should have happened. Maybe it's about what we choose to do when it does. Lucas looked at the flames. Then I choose this: family, peace, honesty. The Rock raised his cup. And freedom. They toasted in silence. The fire cracked gently. And in the background, the wind carried away the last echoes of a story that started with a broken car, angry bikers, and a quiet man who just wanted to be left alone. Somewhere on a wall in a federal building hangs a plaque. It lists no names. Just a quote. Sometimes the quietest men bring the loudest change. Beneath it is a photograph of two brothers, standing in front of a black Mustang, beaten but whole. Like them, as Keanu and Lucas drove into the night, headlights lighting the road ahead. Lucas asked quietly, "What now?" Keanu answered with a soft smile, "Now we live."